Good morning, and good afternoon, and good evening to all of you joining us from all over the world for this IPMA Project Excellence Model introductory webinar. We're very happy to see you online virtually and hope you will enjoy this webinar. I will explain something about the Project Excellence Model as well as the assessment process. And of course, as I'm responsible for the global awards, I will also tell you something about the awards process for 2021. We are a large group today, and the hosts I'm speaking, my name is Lian Staal. I'm from the Netherlands, and I volunteer as IPMA Global Awards Coordinator. And helping all of us is Eva Benarczyk. She is the IPMA Global Awards Manager. And here you see her email address. If you have any questions or comments, please contact us via this email address. For this webinar, I would like to tell you that please use the chat function on the right side of your page if you have any questions or comments. And I would look forward to any questions you have, because that makes it a little bit more interesting to have some interaction. So I look forward to receiving that from you today. Before starting off with the Project Excellence Model, I would like to explain some background information about IPMA. I'm not sure if you're aware that IPMA is the world's first project management association, and it was founded many years ago, more than 50 years ago. The first name was actually Internet, because it was a group of project managers looking to interact and share lessons and best practices, and IPMA's International Project Management Association still focuses on that today. It's the first organization that has a role-based certification scheme in project management. And as you know, all of IPMA's baselines focus on developing competences. So individual competences, organizational competences, as well as project competences. And we have standards that help us do that, the individual competence baseline, the project excellence baseline, and the organizational competence baseline, and I'll explain a little bit more about them a little bit later on. As I said, we are a competence-based society or association that focuses on educating and training and development of people and organizations. And we also like to recognize outstanding achievements through our global award scheme. We have events that take place. Unfortunately, this past year, many of these events have taken place in a virtual manner, and we're very happy to see that that's also working. Although we miss meeting people face to face, it looks like this year many of our events will also take place online. So we hope to see you there. So IPMA is now represented in 72 countries worldwide, which means that these countries have their own member association, local chapters focusing on project management. And we're happy to see that this number is continuing to grow. As you can see, the member association represent all continents, a very large focus in Europe, because that's where the organization is starting, and we're so slowly spreading across the globe, which is very nice to see. Just a little something about the Global Awards family. As you can see, we have three main categories. We have the Project Excellence Awards, the Individual Awards, and the Global Research Awards. And they all consist of different categories. The Project Excellence Award has three categories that you can apply into. It's the small and the medium-sized project category, the large or the mega-sized project category. And the individual awards consists also of three: the Young Project Manager of the Year, the Project Manager of the Year, and last year we introduced the Agile Leader of the Year. And the IPMA Global Research Awards has also three categories. Next to the Young Researcher and the Research Award category, this year we will introduce a new category called the IPMA Graduate Research Award. And this category is for master's students who have not finished their research yet, but who are nominated by their professors as outstanding research in development. just to go back, all these categories, the competitions are use the baselines as reference for their assessments, so the global standards that we have in place. IPMA is very proud of the many products and services that they offer their members and anyone interested, and they vary from the World Congress, which is an annual event, to the Research Conference, which is also an annual event, and also we have special interest groups as a new service that is offered, focusing on specific topics, and a very active young crew, which is the group of under 36 years project managers who organize competitions, who organize very interesting events that you can join. The global standards that we have in place at the moment are 3, even though they have add-ons in the form of, for example, the Agile or the CCT, which is the description of competences required for coaches, trainers, and consultants. I should say differently, coaches, consultants, and trainers, CTT. And of course, many of the member association in the 72 countries have certification institutes that are responsible for the 4LC, the 4 level of project management certifications that are in place. We are active on social media, as you may have seen, and there is a family, IPMA family site that you can find interesting information. But of course, I would like to draw your attention to the IPMA Awards website, which is awards.ipma.world, where you can find information of past finalists and winners, as well as short films about their project and their experiences, which are very interesting to see. So I would suggest that you have a look at that if you're interested in finding out more about this awards. And of course, I only introduced them, the 3 award groups that we have. And in addition to that, there is a Coaching for Development, a non-profit activity that we have in place to help project managers, and also the Delta assessments, which are organizational assessment processes that we have in place. We have 3 standards, as I said before. So the ICB, the Individual Competence Baseline, helps people working in project programs and portfolios, describing the competences that are necessary for them. And this is also the basis for the certification scheme. The IPMA PEB, the Project Excellence Baseline, this is what is used for implementing excellence in project and programs. It is used by PMOs, it's used by projects, project definitions, phases, but we also use the Project Excellence Model, which is described in the appendix of the Project Excellence Baseline, as the reference for assessing excellence in project and programs. So this is explicitly not for portfolios, but it is for projects and programs. And the third one is the IPMA OCB, the Organizational Development, Organizational Competence Baseline, used for developing the organizational competences necessary to manage projects in an organization. So here we cover all areas of competences that are necessary for developing project management expertise. As this webinar focuses on the Project Excellence Model, I would like to explain a little bit about the Project Excellence Baseline. The Project Excellence Baseline was introduced in 2016, and it was introduced because of the year-long questions surrounding the Project Excellence Model. Now, the Project Excellence Model had already been introduced in 2002, so it was in place for a long time and used mostly as an assessment tool for the awards nationally and internationally. And many of the project managers found that the criteria and the areas described in the Project Excellence Model were very beneficial in helping them to design their projects and programs, as well as for the departments that are responsible for this. So the Project Excellence Baseline actually contains the context surrounding the implementation and the use of the Project Excellence Model in organizations. And we say it's used for achieving excellence in project and programs. What we've seen from organizations, and the way I'm using it myself in projects, is it helps to design project and programs. It helps design, for example, the project management plan. What are the topics you need to address in order to achieve excellence? Some organizations use it as the guideline in implementing a continuous improvement process. So they use it to audit their own projects and teams, and they use it to design the framework along which their improvement activities take place. So it's also a tool that can be used to assess projects and programs, as well as benchmark them against each other and benchmark them against others in your sector. And the model will also help you to discover excellence in projects and programs, because on the basis of the benchmarking, of course, you can see which projects and programs are executing their projects in a better way than other projects, which provides, of course, a learning opportunity for your organization. And by addressing the areas focusing on leadership, you can also recognize excellent leadership throughout the project team or throughout the organization. What we see is that, and what we like is that the project excellence baseline can be applied throughout a project lifecycle. So not only can it be used to collect past experiences, which if you do this in a structured way, can help you to define your new project. But the project excellence baseline can also be used as a continuous improvement tool throughout the project realization phase, for example. You can measure how you are performing against the scope that you've set, and also define areas for improvement, but also define strengths, because that's also a way of looking at how to improve your projects. You can learn from things that are going well, but you can also learn from things that need improvement. As a closing retrospective, it's also interesting to reflect back on what's been achieved throughout the project lifecycle, because that also provides you a learning opportunity for future projects. And in the projects I work in, which are large transport infrastructure projects, it's very interesting to carry out these post-project evaluations, for example, 5 years after delivery of the project. What we find in Europe in some of these large transport infrastructure projects, for example, a bridge across 2 countries, is that you see that the social economic benefits of the project are far greater than what is ever thought of at the beginning when designing the business case, for example, of the project. So the post-project evaluation after a specific time actually gives you some valuable information that can also help you to improve your projects. So as you can see, there are many different moments that you can apply the project excellence baseline in your organization. And the basis, of course, is continuous learning and seeing how you can improve. The way we define it is that we say there are 4 basic principles of excellence that are implemented in the project excellence model. We see excellence as a quality that surpasses ordinary standards. So it's outstanding achievement in organizational areas or results areas that we find interesting. We also say that excellence is a continuously moving target. It can never be fully reached. You're never quite done, because we think that there will always be room for improvement and development. And the most important way to achieve excellence performance is to practice and continuously learn and improve in all relevant areas. So this focus on continuous learning and improvement throughout the project levels, the leadership through the organizational levels, that helps support the excellence principles. And we also think that achieving excellence is not a short-term concept, because you need to have a long-term effort dedication, and it will help the organizations. That is what we get from some of the feedback from some of the organizations that continue to apply for Project Excellence Awards. We see that it also provides them a competitive advantage to have an international team, for example, or international team of assessors or an international team of judges evaluate what you're doing and provide guidance in areas that you could be working on to improve. So we think that excellence is a continuous process, and reaching excellence can be something to strive for continuously. If you look at since 2016, who are the organizational types or positions that are using the Project Excellence Baseline, there are several groups. We see the senior management that's using it, as well as project, program, and portfolio managers. We see that the heads of project management offices and portfolio management offices are using the principles of the Project Excellence Baseline, even though we say that it focuses more on projects and programs than it does on portfolios, but we see these are also using the Project Excellence Baseline. And as we focus on continuous improvement, it should be obvious that we see that knowledge or quality and process managers are also using the model in their projects. Researchers and educators are, of course, very interested in the model, and of course, the group of volunteers that are responsible for the Project Excellence Awards, so the trainers, the assessors, as well as the applicants, they apply the Project Excellence Baseline and use it as a reference in assessing the applicant projects for the awards. And finally, the consultants, coaches, and trainers, so the IPMA ICB CCT group, and they're also using it. And this year, we will also launch a new product called the Registered IPMA PEB Professional. So this is especially for this consultant, coaches, and trainers group, in order to get a proficient in using and applying the IPMA PEB. You can follow a online training is what we're introduced, and if you pass the test at the end of the training, you can be registered if you allow for your information to be published on the IPMA website, and it can help you in your own products and consultancy work. So what does this Project Excellence model look like? If you compare the Project Excellence model to other quality management models, because that is what it stems from, traditionally the quality management theory defines organizational areas and results areas. If you do something in your organizational areas, it will have effect, and you measure the effect to see if you need to change anything in your your organizational areas. So this circle is what you see represented in this Project Excellence model, because we also focus on the process of continuous improvement. And if you compare this model to other quality models, what we say is that every single area, A, B, and C, and the criteria in these areas and the sub-criteria, they have an even weighting. So in the past, you would have standard quality management models which said that, for example, leadership processes and project results were more important than strategy or people satisfaction, etc. We found that in doing the mathematics of more than 14 years of Project Excellence Awards and winners analysis, we found that the weighting that was introduced in these models was actually not beneficial to the principles that we were looking for. So one of the first things we did was take out the weighting, and the basis of the Project Excellence model is that we talk about three areas. We talk about area A, which is all focuses on the people and purpose of a project. And when I say project, I also mean program. So the people and purpose need to be defined, and we call that the foundation for excellence. You need to have leadership in place in order to realize your project scope. And without a clear defined project scope, you will not be able to realize your project results. So finding the right people to execute a clearly defined process is considered to be the foundation of excellence. The second area is area B, is the process and resources, and we call this reinforcement of excellence. So here, in addition to what you would expect to find as regular project management processes and resources, we're looking also for additional tailored processes that fit the purpose of the project, that are tailored to the project scope realization. So here we say, without the right people and a clearly defined scope, and without the process in place to support the work that these people need to do, you will not receive your results. Because area C is the project results. And here you can find the proof of excellence in the organization. Now, why did we draw a circle? Because we say these three areas, not only do they weigh equally, but they also influence each other equally. So it's a continuous process. That's what the circle represents, but you need every single part of the pie in order to make the circle complete. And that is what we consider excellence. To give you some more detail about the model, the project and the people and purpose area, area A, consists of three sub-criteria. We look for leadership and values. We want to see to what extent there are role models in place that show how excellence should be achieved, walk the talk, as we say. And what we think is important here, that we're not talking about the project manager only. We're talking about all leadership roles in the project. So it's not only dependent on the project management, but it's dependent on leadership throughout the project, to what extent you can reach success. Of course, we're very interested to see in how project stakeholders are taken care of. To what extent are they involved in the scope definition and realization of the project, etc. And to what extent is the project team able to adapt to changing circumstances within their organizations? The second sub-criteria focus on objectives and strategy. So we would like to see that the stakeholders' needs, expectations, and requirements, to what extent they're taken into account in defining and developing the project objectives as well as the strategy. And the third area here focuses on project team partners and suppliers. So we are very much in favor of this chained approach, that excellence can only be reached if you take into account your partners and your suppliers. So you need to identify and develop the competences not only of your only project team members, but we'd like to see you involve also partners and suppliers. We would like to see there's some system in place for recognizing outstanding achievements within your projects, and also providing project team members with the ability to make their own decisions. And also we're interested in the level of collaboration and communication within the team, but also between the team members and their partners and suppliers. So in summary, this area is the foundation of excellence, where you have the right people in place to do the work that is necessary to realize a clear objective and have a clear vision on how these objectives should be reached, involving also the direct project stakeholders in the project. Area B, as I said before, the process and resources. We look very much to see to what extent have key project management resources and processes been defined, and to what extent has the project been able to implement and thought about implementing other key processes and resources necessary for the project realization. So there's often a discussion in some of the assessment teams, what is the difference between 1 and 2? The difference is that the project management processes, this is what you expect to find. These are your standard project management principles of planning, cost management, quality management, etc. And management of other key process. For example, in my types of projects, I would expect there to be some sort of safety process in place because we're working in construction. I would expect there to be a very good tender process in place because contracting is also an important topic in our types of projects. Okay, let me see. I see a question coming in, so let's see if I can answer the question. There's a question asking, where can I find a project excellence model evaluation case to understand more how the model is applied? We actually don't publish the assessment reports that are provided to the finalist organizations. What you can do is contact these organizations. You can find them on the awards website, and they should be the ones that are able to provide you with an assessment report. So the IPR of the assessment reports that the assessment teams create for the large and the mega-sized projects, they are owned by the applicants, and we're not allowed to hand them out. Another answer could be, of course, you can join one of the training. We have 3-day assessor trainings assessment training where we provide information on more detailed information of what an assessment report looks like. At the training, we have examples that we are allowed to use with permission of application reports, where the applicants describe their own achievements on this different sub-criteria that we're assessing, but the assessment reports we don't have. So that's my answer to you. Thank you. I was describing areas A and B and the sub-criteria in areas A and B, and the way we score these criteria is according to the PDCA circle. It's not quite a circle, this picture, but it's meant to be. And what we do is we look for to what extent have the criteria I just described been planned, how have they been executed, to what extent are they evaluated, and what is actually done with the results of the evaluations. Now, to give you a little insight into what differentiates a good project from an excellent project, good projects will have planned and carried out many of the procedures or methods or tools that they need in order to realize the project results. Sometimes you see projects that are implementing the procedures and methods without actually having planned certain of these activities. But the excellence projects carry out evaluations and actually do something with the evaluation results. So that is where I usually find the difference between a good and an excellent project. It's all in the acting upon the results that you see. The final area of the model is the project results areas, and it consists of 4 sub-criteria. We have 3 criteria that focus on levels of satisfaction of important stakeholders in the project. So we look to see to what extent is the customer satisfied, the project team, as well as other stakeholders defined by you as a project manager or project leadership. And we want to see what their perception is. And we see this through usually satisfaction review scores, for example. But then these criteria also contain a B sub-criteria, which is indicators of customer satisfaction or project team satisfaction or other stakeholder satisfaction. So what does the indicators mean? It means that if a project team satisfaction scores continuously high throughout the project lifecycle, you would expect to find that there is a low level of illness in the project. You would expect to find there's a low level of people leaving the project, so the project team stays intact. If there's a discrepancy there, that's something that you need to address, because that's strange. So if you have high level of satisfaction in customers, you would also see that in indicators. So an example of an indicator for a high customer satisfaction level would be it's that the customer has asked for another project, for example, or has asked for collaboration on something else. It's not as proof. In the previous version of the model, we talked about proof, but we're not looking for proof. We're just looking for other indicators that substantiate the scores that you're seeing. And the final sub-criteria is all about project results and impact on the environment. So here we're looking for to what extent have the scope definition, has it been realized in terms of planning time, quality norms, emission norms, things like that. But we also would like to see if and to what extent results have been achieved that reach beyond the project objectives. And the project performance is what I just described. Sorry. So the project results, we don't actually assess on the basis of PDCA. There are 2 different assessment tables that we use to score the C area, and you can decide. You can see that described in the annex also in the Project Excellence Baseline. Since it's all straight weighting, what you will see happening in a project award, Project Excellence Award assessment is this: the individual assessors will score the project sub-criteria. They are added up per criteria and then divided into the scores per area. Now, why is this important? Because we provide the assessment finalists or applicants with an assessment report that describes these scores. So they get an overview of the scoring on the 3 levels. So the level of the area, the level of the sub-criteria, and the level of the criteria. So it helps them in finding which areas they should be addressing. So if we look at area A here, A1, for example, you see that A1B is a 30. That would be a quite low score on a 100-point scale. So that would be the area that needs addressing. What the finalists also receive is an assessment report, and on the right side, I know you can't read it, but it's about a page per sub-criteria that the assessment team provides that describes strengths as well as areas for improvement, as seen by the assessment team. And the assessment team consists of 5 experienced and trained project management professionals, of which 1 person works in the sector of the project that's being assessed. 1 person represents a local, because sometimes we need someone to help with translations or to help to describe the context of what's normal in the country. So those are members of the assessment teams, and these are the assessment teams for the large and the mega-sized project applications. The small and the medium-sized project applications, it's a written application and judging process. They also receive feedback, but it's a little bit less detailed than this feedback is. Now, why is this scoring important? Because as you remember, I said that each area we consider to be equally important. That means in order to achieve excellence, we would like to find a balance in the scores. The 100-point scale sometimes leads to discussions, because a discussion is, what does 50 mean? We say 50 is already good, and anything above 50 is excellent. So good is, this is what we would expect to find in a project of its context. If you get a score like this, if you're implementing the project excellence model in your own organizations, what do you think you should be addressing? I think you should be addressing the people and purpose area, because this is a project that is very strong in process and resources, but lacks leadership. This means that this is very good for an organization where you have many repetitive projects, but this is a project team that will most likely have difficulty in addressing risks or being able to act in react to a crisis situation because of the lacking leadership. Now, this type of scores looks like the opposite. So here you have very strong leadership and scope definition and very low processes. And in this type of organization, what you'll see happening is that often repetitive work will be done. So project teams will be doing the same, venturing their way in defining processes that they need, which is an inefficient way of operating. And this is, of course, what we'd like to see. And don't look at the scores. It's not about the 60 or 65 that you see here, or 70. It's about something above a 50 and a balance in the scores. Now, this is the most ideal situation in terms of assessing a project. So how do you recognize success? As I said, we have the 3 families of awards describing and using the different baselines for the different categories. And I would like to tell you just a little bit more about the Project Excellence Award. Let me first see, are there any more questions about the model? Any more questions? No questions. I know I'm moving rather quickly, but if you would like more information, just let us know. Okay, so the project, or the IPMA Global Project Excellence Award. Now here you see a very happy photo of a celebration that took place in Finland in 2018. The awards gala is the ceremony where the winners are announced of all the different categories. Unfortunately, last year we organized a virtual event, and I think this year we will also be organizing a virtual event. But anyway, it's a very nice opportunity to meet and hear all about excellent and outstanding projects and project achievements. The competition has been in place since 2002. I explained before that that is the origin also of the project excellence model that was used as the basis for the competition since 2002. And of course, the award also promotes excellence in project management because we announce the finalists and the winners on social media. They're announced on the website. Of course, the winners aren't allowed to use the IPMA awards logo in all of their communication. And there are many reasons why organizations actually apply for the award, which I will show in a little bit. We've had over 200 applicants since or finalists since the beginning of the project awards, and also we see that there's a representation of all different types of projects. The individual global awards have been in place since 2012, so it's a little bit younger group. And the three categories that I described to you before are the categories that we have in place now, and they all use the ICB4, the Individual Competence Baseline, or IPMA ICB4, as the basis of their awards. They also focus on promoting excellence and innovation in project management. So in the applying or assessing the applications, there are some different criteria that are taken into account. And this is very strange because there's a lot of two in the sentences, but since 2020 or last year, we had 22 applicants representing 20 countries. So it's a very nice group that you're most welcome to join. So please feel free to join the application if you think you have some story to tell. What we do is in a regular year, as the award ceremony takes place at the annual World Congress, we reserve a date dedicated to the finalists of the awards in that year, and of course winners from previous years are also invited to attend. We call this the IPMA Awards Winners Club, and this is a session of a morning or an afternoon where the project finalists that are competing with each other present their projects to each other. And you can see posters on the wall here. This is what we do to facilitate this discussion. And what's interesting is here you have a photo where you have a previous winner. I see an assessor, I see finalists, I see a project management manager of the year finalist, as well as a project. You have finalists from all project categories talking to each other. So if you are a project manager, for example, we had a lady project manager from Finland responsible for a water project in Nepal, talking to a mega-sized oil and gas project manager. And the discussions are very interesting because even though the projects are very different, the sector is different, and the context is very different, they're all facing the same types of challenges. And maybe on a different scale, but they're all doing project management. And that makes these sessions always very lively and interesting. Plus, I think what also makes it interesting is that they don't know who's won yet. So it's a possibility to find out what the competition looks like and what they're doing, and especially what their learnings are after having reflected on the basis of the project excellence model on how they achieve their project success. So it's a very interesting club to join. The awards finalists from the project excellence model come mostly from Europe still. There's a growing number coming from Australia. Maybe that circle should be bigger, and Asia. But we still have many areas of the world that are not covered yet. So if you are representing one of the countries that is not on the list, then I would heartily invite you to find a project manager or project that is capable of entering this competition and invite them to join this group. Let me just give you an overview of some of the award winners from last year. So in the Project Excellence Award, the last large size projects, we had Bank from Russia and a power organization from India who won prizes. In the mega size infrastructure sector project, we had a airport project from China, as well as a Swiss project, a rail project from Switzerland. In the energy sector, we had winners from China and India and Iran from different power station type projects in this energy sector. And there are so many more, as I said, from the small and the medium-sized project categories, where we have 5. So I would like to invite you, please go to the awards website if you're interested in finding out more about these winners, but also if you want to find out more about the project categories, then you can also find that on the website. Now you will receive this presentation after the webinar, and you can then use the address to find these websites. So why do I think you should apply? I think it's an opportunity for you to receive recognition from a group of peers, international project management peers, but it's also an opportunity for you to tell the world that you received this prize. And here you see a picture from the awards gala in Poland a couple of years ago in Warsaw. It's also an opportunity for you to celebrate success, and it's always fun to see all these happy faces, but what you don't see is behind these groups of people you have huge project teams and huge organizations. So at the awards gala you will see tables of project team representatives, and everyone has their phones ready, because usually some of these marketing departments or communications people are ready with a what's it called, an announcement to send out to the media about whether or not a prize was won and which prize. It's also an opportunity to reward your team, and this is a huge team, and sometimes the teams are much smaller, but this is just an example of how to celebrate. And it's also an opportunity for you to meet managers that are working perhaps in different sectors, but also have interesting project management experiences. And this is a session at one of our winners clubs a few years ago. At the winners club is, as we said, a great opportunity to meet different types of people in and active in project management. Most importantly, it can help you to learn a lot. And as some of the applicants have said, the benefits from having an independent expert assessment are great. And if you look at the cost-benefit analysis that you could do in terms of this process, if I have an external audit done on my project, then it would cost maybe 30, 40, 50,000 euro. The assessment is cheaper than that. So you have an international review carried out on your project if you're a large and mega-sized project. And for the smaller and the medium-sized project, you have a group of 3 international judges that also assess your project and provide you with input that can help you in your improvement processes. So just to summarize a few winners' reactions. This is Mr. Valerio Di Cecchio from South Africa, who won gold in 2016, and he was very impressed with the independent and influential assessment that was carried out, because it's not only a learning process through the assessment period when a team has to prepare for this international assessment team, but also through the discussions that are had during the site visit interviews, and of course the feedback report or the assessment report that the organization receives. Mr. Ricardo Fabri called it gold winner in 2014, called it an intense learning experience. And he was actually so excited about the whole process that he applied to become an assessor in years after. So that's also very interesting, I think, and very nice to see. Mr. Jean-Michel Rey, gold winner from 2014, called it a reference for customers. So they use it as their company is looking for international jobs as a reference that they put on their list. And Mr. Sumajadi from Indonesia called it a starting point of their continuous improvement process. So it helped kickstart continuous improvement within their organization as a regular part of their assessment and improvement processes. Mr. Kuhn from China called it a possibility to gain more orders through this international recognition received. So there are different ways that you can see applying for the awards. And of course, you can use the baselines, as I said, just to help design your projects and programs. But if you're interested in entering the awards, what are the next steps? First of all, you need to define a project, and applying for the award is a project on its own. If you're applying for the large and the mega-sized project categories, the assessment process actually takes a couple of months. As a project, you will need to prepare and make sure that your team is also aware of what you're doing. You need to also prepare a background document that is provided to the assessment team that is used for the preliminary assessment that is carried out by the individual assessors. You will need to train your team because understanding the excellence model as well as understanding the criteria that are being assessed will be helpful in this process. And what we see many applicants do is that they send 1 or 2 of their people to the assessment training to understand the model, but also understand what the assessors are going to do, because it's not a secret. You know, it's not some black box that is happening. The criteria are clear, they're described in the model, but also the assessment scoring system is also clear because that's also described in the model. You will need to write the application report and make sure that you meet the criteria that are necessary in order to apply. Why do we think it's important? Well, an important element, for example, is that the project needs to have been finished. So the project needs to have been finished because otherwise we are not able to assess the complete project results. Sometimes you can define a phase of a project as a project, but only if there's a clear scope definition and there's a clear finish to the phase. The site visit is part of the large and the mega-sized projects category process. So site visits is a 3-day, usually live moment when the assessment team interviews the most important stakeholders throughout the project, scores the project for the 3rd time, and provides the second judges' feedback to the judges. Last year, we organized the site visits virtually, and I'm afraid probably this year, we're not sure, we will have to organize the site visits in a virtual manner as well. It's not ideal because we have to deal with different time zones. So my interviews this year started for me at 5 o'clock in the morning. It does help you get into the bubble, but it's not the same. And you get more information when you're actually on site and have the interaction moments, not only with the project team, but also with the assessment team. And lastly, you need to prepare to celebrate and improve. So if you are selected by the judges as a finalist, you're invited to attend the Winners Club and the Awards Gala. And the day after the awards ceremony or the gala, there are feedback sessions organized with judges and or team lead assessors. And this is the moment that you receive the feedback report, whether you're an individual awards winner or finalist or a Project Excellence Award winner finalist. The feedback sessions take place the day after the award. And this is a step that is appreciated greatly by applicants, because this is a moment for them also to meet some of the judges who help explain why they received the prize that they're receiving. Now, the deadline for the awards categories in the small and the medium-sized projects is 11th of May. We may be moving these dates up, but for now, the application deadline is 11th of May. And the categories that we will be addressing this year are IT and telecommunications, construction, engineering and infrastructure, change management, product development and marketing, social, regional development, community service, and applied research. We've already received several applications, so that's very, very good. And if you would like to apply them, we look forward to receiving your applications. You can find all the application tools. It's a complete online process via the awards website. And generally speaking, we would say these will be projects under a budget of 50 million, but it's dependent on you as an organization which process you would like to enter, because the large and the mega size projects categories I already described, but have a written application and site-based judging process or virtual site-based judging process. So their deadline is a little bit earlier. There are more extensive steps in the large and the mega size project assessment than are in the small and medium sized projects. So the small and medium sized projects, it's a written application submission, and you have 3 judges that assess the application and a chief judge who combines all the scores and who decides on the winners. In the large and the mega size projects, you have a team of 5 assessors that judge the project at 3 different times. They report to a group of judges on 2 moments, and after the second judge's presentation by the team lead assessor, the judges decide on the winners. Now, the application deadline for this one is a little bit sooner. It's next month. But again, we may be changing some of these dates if we are going completely virtual. We'll let you know. The key steps. So the key steps for the small and medium-sized projects, we say take part in a webinar or training. There is a detailed time schedule that you can find on the website that also describes when the webinars are taking place. Submit the application report by 18th of May at the latest. You will receive a notification from the judges on their decision from Eva by the 27th of June. And I think the awards gala will take place on the 22nd of September. Now, it was foreseen to take place in St. Petersburg, but I think the IPMA executive board this week are taking a decision on whether or not to move the gala. And if it is moved, we will let you know. The steps in the large and the mega size projects, a little bit more. So also we advise you to take part in a webinar or training. By the 19th of March, you should have submitted your application form. It's actually the 22nd of March. It should be here, sorry. The application report, the application form defines your intention to apply for the award, and your application report, you have a month of time then in order to write up your application report. At the moment, the site visits are planned for the week of the 21st to the 23rd, and these will, we don't know if these will be virtual yet or not. And all the winners will be announced at the gala on the 22nd of September. And again, if these dates change, we will let you know. The categories that we recognize in these awards I just described, but they also include a different application fee. So for the small and medium-sized project, the application fee is €500, but for the social, regional development, community service projects, it's half of that. And for the large and the mega-sized projects, the fee is a little bit higher. And there are, of course, some discount possibilities. And you can read all about that when you review this presentation. The levels that are recognized per category are 1 gold winner, 1 silver winner, 1 bronze winner per category. And we have runners-up. These are finalists who are excellent in their areas, but the judges have decided to award the trophies to others. So we call this the finalist category, and 1 winner, as I said, per level. The World Congresses. So St. Petersburg is where the award ceremony will take place this year. Next year, hopefully we'll all be traveling and we'll see each other in Tokyo for the award ceremony. And in 2023, the World Congress and award ceremony will take place in Copenhagen. So this is the end of my presentation, and let's see if there are any more questions for you, from you. I have a very long comment. So I'll read it to you. It says, "Hi, Pollyanna. As discussed in January 2020, the Project Excellence model is most valuable to promote project management to be a core discipline for all management levels. This is where project management alphabetization starts. There is a very urgent need for all types of projects that provide sustainable transformation for this planet. Still, the PEB should help to provide a metric not to only measure excellence, but also to measure and promote sustainable project management according to, for example, 17 or the UN Sustainability Charter criteria. And size, respective budget of a project should not at all be the major measure impact. Social, political, environmental, as well as ecological and stakeholders is much more important." Yes, thank you for this comment. I'm not sure if well, I know I didn't explain this enough, but in the definition of the Project Excellence model, you see that we follow, as described in the PEB, the UN principles of sustainable development. So the core principles of the UN Charter is also our starting point. If you look at the Project Excellence model, we describe the criteria and sub-criteria, and we provide examples. So we provide not a questionnaire or checklist that you need everything in place, but we say when you are addressing a certain sub-criteria, you can think of the following as examples. So for different sectors, different contexts, the level of and the way sustainability is dealt with is different. And what we say in terms of excellence is you need to create your project or program or assess your project and program within the context, within its own context. So we do not provide metrics in terms of sustainability, but we do say that, of course, you should be focusing on the development of a sustainable planet, because that is what the future is. So that is also part of the excellence model. The second part of the question, size, budget should not at all be the major measure impact, but also social, political, environment, as well as ecological impact on stakeholders. We take all of them into account. So when we're looking at project results, of course, you have the regular project management results that you're discussing, but we also say that social, environmental, and ecological, which is criteria for C4D, it's the impact on the environment. So we expect you to have some sort of targets in place with respect to the environment and sustainable development, and we expect you to reach them. So I'm not sure if that answers your question, but the Project Excellence model surely addresses these topics and tells you to do something with them. I have another question. Can you give some insights in applying as a judge to become familiar with the model and the rating scheme? The judges for the Project Excellence model categories, so the small and the medium-sized projects, are, we say it's like a growth model. So these are people that have passed the assessment training and are considered to be part of the assessor pool and would like to become a judge. We ask them if they would be willing to position as a judge. So in order to be able to qualify as a judge, you need to have passed the 3-day assessment training. And that helps you to become familiar with the model, the criteria, as well as the scoring tables. Any other questions? I'm going a little bit over time. Well, if there are no more questions, thank you so much for attending this webinar. We look forward to seeing you in the future, either as an awards applicant or delegate at one of our training. If you have any more questions, please don't hesitate to contact us via the email address you see here, award@ipma.world, or visit the awards website, www.awards.ipma.world. Thank you so much for listening, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye-bye.